All right, so day 3 of review. So today we're going to talk about composition functions. So composition functions review. Again, get ready for our midterm that's getting ready to happen this week, this Friday, or sometime this week. Sometime we're getting ready for that midterm. All right, so we give you the 3 functions. F of x is x squared, g of x is 3x, and h of x is 3x plus 3. We're going to find f of g of 2, and we're finding g of h of negative 1. But then we're going to also do, we're going to add, subtract, and multiply also on top of that later on. All right, so here, remember when we talked about these, we were talking about find the inside part first, then use that to find the outside part. Find the inside, use that to help us find the outside. So for number 1, the inside part is g of 2. So we start there and find that value. So g of 2, g is 3x. If we put 2 in for x there, that gives us 6. So g of 2 equals 6. Okay, so now instead of us putting g of 2 right there, we're going to do f of 6. See if I can find that pin there. So instead of doing g of 2 is 6, so we're going to put 6 right there. So now we're going to take a look at the f function, and we're going to put 6 in for x. So f of x function is x squared. We put that 6 in for that. And we get an answer of 36. So f of g of 2 equals 36, guys. Remember, this is a composite function, a function inside of a function. Inside, outside. Same thing is happening here. We talk about the inside portion of it. So we're going to deal with the inside part first. To h of negative 1. All right. Put the inside part, which is 3x plus 3. That's the h function. We substitute negative 1 in there. In there, whenever we see an x, we put a negative 1. So here that gives us negative 3 plus 3, which is 0. So h of negative 1 is 0. All right. So what we have to do now, instead of doing g of h of negative 1, so we'll do g, h of negative 1 is 0. So we get rid of that, put 0 in the spot. All right, and we go ahead and now work out that g function. So g is equal to 3x. And so here, we'll put 3. Well, if we see an x, we put that 0 into that spot. All right, and our final answer here is 0. So g of h of negative 1 equals 0. And again, we went through that pretty fast. If you need to go back and rewatch it, find out what's happening, because we did the inside part first. We use that to help us find the outside part. That's how we do this, guys. That's how we said we were doing it. That's how we're doing it now. All right, cool. So we get that. Now let's go ahead and go to 3, 4, and 5. This deals with our operations, multiplication. So with these, multiplication, subtraction, and addition. We're still using f of x, g of x, and h of x here. So here, I'm going to rewrite this one for number 3. I'm going to rewrite it. Rewriting it so that we're doing f of 1 times g of 1. I'm going to come here also. This is going to be f of 3 minus g of 3. So remember, it's different than what we had up here. That's different. And here we're going to do f of 0 plus g of 0. Remember, these are operations. This is composite. Operations of functions down here, composite functions up there. All right, so we're going to do each one of these. Now, I showed you guys 2 different ways of doing this. I showed you guys how to find it, how to multiply it and do f times g of x, and then substitute 1 into the answer. And I also showed you this way. So I'm showing you the second way here. It's that second way that we talked about. All right, so here, f of 1 We know f of x is x squared. We know g of x is 3x. We're going to put down 1 for each one of these because that's what is inside for x. Right? So here we get 1. We multiply that by 3. And we get an answer of 3. So again, we dealt with the f of x part, we dealt with the g of x part, put the 1 in for each x, and worked it out. And this, because it's multiplication, it multiplies together. So our final answer here is f g of 1 equals 3. All right, same thing's going to happen for these next ones. So again, when it comes to f of 3, f is x squared again. Again, g is is 3x. All right, we're going to substitute 3 into it now for each x. So we get 3 squared. And that's, 3, and x is 3. So about that should be positive 3. It's a positive 3 here and a positive 3 there. All right, so this is 9 here. Minus 3 times 3 is 9. And we get a 0. So f minus g of 3 equals 9. All right, so follow the pattern that we're doing. So we're writing it down, the functions first, which is again x squared for the f of x. G of x is 3x. Addition signs in the middle because that's what's addition there. That was subtraction there, so we put the subtraction. That was multiplication, so we multiply it there. All right, so we do that. We say we're going to put 0 in for x. So it gives us 0 plus 0 equals 0. So our answer is 0 here. Equals 0. All right, so that's what we're dealing with, guys. All right, so now we're going to move into the graphing of it and also look at tables. And that's it, guys. That'll be the last parts. All right, so for our review again, we're keep moving forward. So if you need to stop it, go ahead and write this stuff down, do the graph and everything, write it down, and then keep going forward, do that. But again, this is our review. So we're going to keep moving forward here, and we're looking at graphs this time. And so we have a composite function, another composite function, then we have an operation going on. So we're going to deal with these parts. All right, so with that being said, remember we said when it comes to our composite functions, we deal with the inside part first, then we deal with the outside. So the inside, then the outside. So here, we'll start off with g of 2. And remember with this part, whenever they give you a graph and they give you this, they give you what x is equal. So here x equals 2. And on this g graph, and I forgot to write this down. This is our f of x graph right here. It's the purple one. And this is our g of x graph right here, the blue one. So I didn't label that beforehand, but I do it now. All right, so here, when on the g graph, they want to know when x equals 2, what is your y? What does y equal? So on our g graph, the blue graph, when x equals 2 right here, what is your y value? It doesn't go up or down, it stays right there. So that equals 0. All right. So now that we know what the inside is, g of 2 is 0. The y value is 0 there. All right. Now we go ahead and look at the outside part. So instead of us putting g of 2 in there, again, we put 0 in that spot. So now we're taking a look at the f function. So when x equals 0 for the f function, what is your y value? That's what we're trying to find. So for our g function, when x equals 0, for our f function, the purple function, when x equals 0, what is your y value? So 1, 2, 3, right there for the purple graph. That means it's -3. So that means here, this equals -3. So our final answer is f of g of 2 equals -3. Again, deal with the inside and then deal with the outside. Inside, then outside. All right. Now for B, instead of us actually just focusing on this this way, we have to kind of change it into that. So that's a g of f of -1, or I called it golf when we did the notes. So this is g of f of -1. Same difference, same thing. So with it, again, we're going to find the inside part. So we're going to have to find f of -1. So on the f function, when x equals -1, what is your y value? That's what we're looking for. So in our purple graph, that's f of x. When x equals -1, what is your y value? It's going to go up or down. It stays right there. So your y value is just 0. So this whole thing equals 0. All right. So now we know that part. So instead of us doing f of -1 inside of it, we'll do f of 0 inside, because f of -1 is 0. All right. So here, when we do it, we look at our g of x function, which is the blue one. When x equals 0, what is your y value on the blue graph? So that's right here. So that's at -2. So when x equals 0 on the g graph, your y is -2. So g of golf of -1, or g of f of x of -1, equals -2. Okay, so we're doing good. We got this. All right, and then one last one here. Here we're going to do g of 4 plus f of 4. Again, we're taking a look at individual graphs. So on the g graph here, the blue graph, when x equals 4, what is your y value? So 1, 2. So when x equals 4, your y is 2. For your f function, the purple function, when x equals 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, what is your y value? Go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's that spot right there. So we get 5. And if you need to see more of the graph, here you go. So it's at 5. So all we do is just do 2 plus 5. Ooh, that looks so blurry there. Sorry, guys. There we go. So 2 plus 5 is 7. So to write it out, to match up what we had up there, g plus f of 4 equals 7. All right, cool. So the last part we're going to do is going to deal with actually the table. It's going to deal with that wonderful, wonderful table. We love tables.